Hey there folks, Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. I hope you're enjoying your day. It's a beautiful summer morning, and today we are going to be talking about the birds and the bees, or lack thereof. But just before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors at oneworlddigitalsolutions.com, where they provide digital Android boxes which allow you to go around the major TV and satellite cable companies while getting virtually any piece of media that you want at your fingertips. And you can save $50 off the price of a box today when you use promo code PFT, so check the links in the description. And check out our good friends at Liberty Farms and grassrootsmedicinal.ca, where they provide Canadians with the cleanest lab-approved cannabis and cannabis extracts for all of your medicinal and recreational needs. So check them out at grassrootsmedicinal.ca. Links are located in the description below. All right, back to the birds and the bees. Comedian and actor Rob Schneider might be onto something when he recently stated, "Thank you, Monsanto. Sperm count drop may lead to human extinction." Studies now show that humans could become extinct as sperm counts plummet 60% in 40 years. And modern living is to blame. The study shows that men in Europe, the US, Australia, and New Zealand have seen a drop in their sperm count by 60% in just the last 4 decades, making them infertile. More and more couples are failing to conceive naturally, and this is a huge detriment to society and the human population in general, as we were meant to and designed to procreate. Now here's the interesting thing about this study. Researchers found that men in South America, Asia, and Africa are unaffected by this. This is what leads to their conclusion that modern living is the cause for a drop in fertility here in the West. Causes for concern are chemicals in plastic, smoking, pesticides, and obesity, which is all being attributed to the average man having gone from 99 million per milliliter of semen to a low sperm count of just 15 million per milliliter. But there is a major aspect to this, which the mainstream media is failing to mention. It really all boils down to one agenda: eugenics. It was early in the 20th century when scientists began looking to eugenics, or this concept of altering the genetic makeup of mankind by weeding out undesirable traits. They found that the most effective way of doing this was through mass sterilization, where people with undesirable traits would no longer be able to procreate. In 1911, the US established the Eugenics Records Office in Cold Springs Harbor, New York. The ERO spent time tracking family histories, and they concluded that people deemed to be unfit more often came from families that were poor, low in social standing, immigrants, and/or minorities. And further, the ERO researchers demonstrated that the undesirable traits in these families, such as paupism, were due to genetics and not a lack of resources. Committees were convened to offer solutions to the problem of the growing number of undesirables in the US population. Stricter immigration rules were enacted, but the most ominous resolution was a plan to sterilize unfit individuals in order to prevent them from passing on their negative traits. During the 20th century, a total of 33 states had sterilization programs in place. While at first, sterilization efforts targeted mentally ill people exclusively, later the traits deemed serious enough to warrant sterilization included alcoholism, criminality, chronic poverty, blindness and deafness, feeble-mindedness, and promiscuity. It was also not uncommon for African American women to be sterilized during other medical procedures without their consent. Most people subjected to these sterilizations had no choice, and because the program was run by the government, they had little chance of escaping the procedure. It is thought that around 65,000 Americans were sterilized during this time period. But then Hitler came around, and his use of eugenics principles led to a loss of credibility within society. So it is believed that the program just dissolved over time as a result. But that is the farthest thing from the truth. The eugenicists who are pulling the strings realized that they needed a more stealthy approach, because the general population was very leery of this program, especially because of what Hitler did. And that is when a plan was developed for what we now refer to as soft kill or slow kill eugenics. They know that if you control the food, you control the population. So in 1961, they set up the UN-sanctioned Codex Alimentarius as a way to regulate every single bit of food that could possibly be consumed. According to a study at the University of Colorado, our food is about half as nutritious as it was 100 years ago. Since the early 1900s, the nutrient density of our food has declined approximately 40 to 60%, the study says. This is by design, by psychopathic eugenicists who secretly want to decrease the population of humanity. This is not a conspiracy theory. We are now witnessing the results of this. And the fact is, there's only two ways that you can possibly decrease the global population. You either increase the death rate, or you decrease the birth rate, or a combination of the two. Chemicals not only in our food, but also in our air and our water, have slowly over time created infertile men. And it's not by chance that we've arrived here. But you must be thinking, wouldn't these eugenicists be destroying everything for themselves and their children as well? Not at all, because they don't live like we do. The air in their houses and their cars is filtered. The water that they drink is pure. And they have hoarded all of the organic, nutrient-dense foods for themselves, so that the desirable traits can flourish, and they can position themselves as the architects of procreation for the rest of humanity. So if you think that men like Hitler, who want to remove undesirables from society, have just vanished, well, you're foolishly mistaking yourself. The eugenics movement is alive and well, and their goal for global sterilization is working. But just like they've managed to protect themselves from what they've created, the truth is, so can you. Never before has it been more important to get off the grid and to become self-sustainable. Growing your own organic food can be done. Making chemical-free soaps and detergents is easy. You can quit smoking cigarettes. It's not easy, but it certainly can be done. And you can avoid consuming fluoride in your water with the proper filtration systems. And with regular exercise, you can begin to undo the damage that they've already done. If you're not familiar with the eugenics movement, please look it up and do some research for yourself. I've barely scratched the surface when it comes to this agenda. Share this video if the information resonates with you, and as some of you may or may not know, we have no corporate funding or any backing of any kind. Our support comes directly from you, the viewers. So please consider checking us out on patreon.com/pressfortruth. Even just $5 or $10 a month goes a long way with helping me to produce this kind of content. And if you're interested in becoming a PFT sponsor, you can email me at dan@pressfortruth.ca, and hopefully we can build something that will be mutually beneficial for the both of us. So check the links to find out how you can get involved. Thanks for watching, my friends, and stay tuned. We've got a lot more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.